Hey everyone, it's Bennett Bernard from Augmentic Accounting, and I wanted to do a quick video about Agent Builder and some of the news that OpenAI dropped yesterday on October 6th in their kind of developer day. And so one of the things, among a couple other ones that are really exciting, but one of the things I really wanted to focus on was Agent Builder, which is a essentially low-code slash no-code solution to building out agentic workflows. And the quick reason I'm really excited about this is because not that this is anything new that they're doing. You know, there's tools like N8N, Zapier, all sorts of, I guess, low-code agent builders. But what's really exciting about this is that it's all within the Chat GPT kind of ecosystem. And that's going to open up the door to a lot of different folks being able to build their own automations. Not only that is it in that ecosystem, but it also has what seems to be really easy deployments. And I know from building different agentic workflows on other kind of platforms or using other software, deployment seems to be a challenge. And so I'm really excited. In the demo yesterday, they showed, I think it took 8 minutes for someone to build a workflow and deploy it, which is fantastic. And that's the kind of progress I think we need to make in this kind of agentic AI workspace or industry, if you will, to help people unlock more productivity, more efficiency, and automate the boring stuff, right? So what I wanted to do here was just kind of quickly run through on my screen here a simple workflow automation that I put together. It's nothing fancy. It's just I wanted to kind of get a feel for the tool. But then I can kind of share some learnings that I found with it so far, and then some pros and cons along the way. So what the agent is essentially a PDF extractor, and it's going to read a MSR valuation report. Now, if you're not a mortgage person, MSR stands for mortgage servicing rights, and these are required to be measured at fair value per US GAAP, okay? So a lot of times, if you're in accounting, you're going to get information from a PDF. And so I wanted to build a workflow that extracted that information from a PDF, had like an approver element to it, so with a user approval. And then if it was approved, then go ahead and create like a journal entry report and output that journal entry report to the end user. So again, nothing fancy. This is probably scratching the surface of what this can really do, but I wanted to kind of have something to show in real time, kind of as we're building out these tools, just to kind of demo for people. So I'm gonna go ahead and run it first. I'm gonna use GPT 4.1 because 5 is extremely slow, as you probably already know. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit preview, and then we'll kind of chat through what it's doing behind the scenes. So run the MSR workflow for September 2025. And so what it already has access to is the valuation report. So I uploaded those into my OpenAI kind of platform. And so you can see here it's looking for the September 2025 valuation report. It finds it, and then it extracts the values that I'm interested in. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit approve. What you could do, again, this kind of depends on your own comfort level with AI, is you could use this kind of figure here as like a check. So did you get the right values? Let me just spot check. I asked it for the total valuation, so that's 2,513,000, I think. And then let's see if we can find that here on the page, or 25,130,000. So that matches up with what we have here. It's as of September 30th, 2025. And then there's the principal balance of the loan, and then, or set of loans, and then here's the loan count. So 12,840 loans. So that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hit approve. And then what you can see to the left of the screen here is as it moves through this different steps. So I'm going to hit approve, and then it's going to kind of confirm that number, and then it's going to go ahead and write a report. And so I have this second agent here that is a report writer agent where I kind of give it a prompt, and I'll show you what that looks like in more detail once it's kind of done running. But you can see here it's making great content. Here's our journal entry, debit the MSR asset, credit revenue. Fantastic, that looks right. And then here's the guidance I asked for, like the specific guidance that covers or that applies to mortgage servicing rights and fair value accounting. So there you go. And then here is the end of it, and just kind of outputs the blob of text that it had created for me. So underneath the hood, I guess, or in more detail, we'll kind of walk through the different nodes that you have here. So we have in this kind of core section, agent, which is the one that you're probably going to use the most. That's like the brain. If you're familiar with N8N, they have a similar concept where you can kind of bring in an agent, like a thinking model or a thinking node. And so here you can see you can name your valuation agent or name your agent whatever you want. I named it valuation reader agent. And then I have a prompt. I said, please read the MSR valuation report and respond back to the user with the required output fields. So just some light prompting, nothing too crazy. What is cool is that you can give it tools. So this agent already has the file search tool, but you can also give it MCP servers, which are really exciting, and I'll spend more time on that in a different video, but just think connectivity. If you're not familiar with that, it can connect to your Google Drive, connect to your Gmail, all that fun stuff. It has a web search tool, and then it has a code interpreter tool. And then you can also give it a custom function. I haven't tried those out yet. I've only done file search so far. And then what's also really cool and I think really important is you can specify an output format. So in this case, because we were extracting values from a PDF, we want to kind of specify what values we want. We don't want to just prompt that. I think we want to be a bit more explicit. And so I've talked about structured outputs before on my channel, but if you haven't seen those videos, basically you're defining to the model, to that AI model, these are the values I care about. And so the agent builder does a great job of kind of helping you with this, where you can define an output format, and you can even use AI to generate what that output format is. You can kind of tell it what you care about, and then it'll kind of do its best shot at creating that structured output for you. And so in this case, I'm concerned about the total valuation, the valuation date, the principal balance, and the loan count. So you kind of define those, you say what type they are, and you can kind of give a description that helps the AI understand what those numbers are that you're looking for. And then you can specify if they're required or not. So that's what you saw in the kind of example when I ran it. It kind of gave me that weird looking piece of text, but it had those numbers in there. Then it asked me to confirm it. And so here, you can do the user approval. This is really nice because human in the loop in the past has been kind of tricky to implement in different frameworks. So, you have a user approval kind of node, and then you just kind of ask a question. Do you want to proceed with the following values? And then you can access the information from the prior steps within these different future nodes, which is really cool. So if you've used N8N before, you probably are familiar with that. But if you haven't used it, it's kind of a nice unlock. And so I can kind of access, the total valuation, the valuation date, all the other fields that I extracted from my valuation reader agent into this kind of user approval pane. Now that gives the user the ability to kind of see, okay, like I can see the numbers that it's asking me to approve. It's not just a yes or no. It gives you more context. And then from there, I'm going to skip over set state and transform for now. Just know that there's a little bit of things that you need to do in order to kind of give it to the next agent. And so I have a second agent called the report writer agent, and it's going to take in some context again. It's going to take in the information it has from the previous nodes. In that case, it's down here. So you can see I'm bringing in I'm going to make this bigger just so it's easier to see. So it's bringing in the valuation details, the total MSR valuation, all that kind of stuff. And I'm giving this agent a bit more structure. And it's pretty light. You've seen some prompts that are super long and specific. This is pretty basic, but I just kind of asked it to give me some general structure for my report. And then from there, it just goes to the end, and I just output the text, which is that kind of thing that you saw at the end, just the kind of blob of text. You can specify different output structures too when you end the run. So lots of different options there. But yeah, really cool. So again, this is very basic, but I think it's one of those things where PDF extraction is going to be like super useful. And so it's really easy to set that up. I wanted to kind of show that, like, if you have, say, like a tax document and you're trying to extract information from that, and you know what fields you need, it's really easy to kind of come in here, create an agent, specify a response schema, and then extract that information and it feel a bit more crisp than if you just try to prompt that. Also, if you have like leases or any other thing that you are getting information from a PDF, as sad as it is to say, there's still lots of information contained in PDFs that you need to kind of manually go look and grab. So I think PDF extraction is still important in the accounting world, and with just a few nodes, you can do that in the new agent builder without writing any code. So really cool. One thing I didn't really cover off of that I think is really awesome, and again, just from like an accounting lens and a confidentiality, you want to make sure we're not sharing client information incorrectly and stuff like that. They have this really cool tool called guardrails, and so what this does is it lets you kind of specify to your agent that, like, there's certain things that you're not allowed to disclose, or if a user's trying to disclose that, you can kind of let them know to piss off. So like you can specify no PII. You can set up moderation, so like there's no hateful or violent content, right? No jailbreaking, which is basically where they try to like overwrite your system prompt and like give it a new system prompt and have it spill all the details. So you can kind of cut that out with the guardrails. And then of course hallucination, meaning that you can ground your responses based on your vector store, which is just like your documents that you upload. So guardrail is super important, and I think OpenAI does this the best of any of the other frameworks I've seen so far. And so you can just directly put that into your workflow and have a bit more comfort over what the AI is going to respond with. So I'll leave it at that. I will say the one kind of con, and maybe that I would specify just for this video, is the error codes are not that helpful. So you might get stuck on something, and I'll just kind of break this here just to kind of show. But the error codes are not that helpful, and it makes it harder, especially with it being a new tool, to kind of like, work through, and you got to kind of really just try different things out. And so like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'll just say the same thing again, run MSR evaluation for sept. And it might fail, it might work. Looks like it's going to work in this case. But point being, the error codes, I was trying to explore with this, or kind of experiment with this earlier, and it was difficult. When something would break, I wouldn't really know where to go. The other thing that is difficult is the while loops. And so like the conditional logic on while loops, if you're familiar with programming, you obviously probably know about while loops. If you're not that familiar, it's like where a certain condition is true, do something. And so what I would want to do with this video was actually kind of have this report writer agent be iterative, where it would write the report and then it would kind of ask me for feedback, and I would give it feedback, and then it would take that feedback and incorporate it and write the report again. And I wanted it to do that until I gave it a thumbs up. And so that was, I wasn't able to do that on this first go around. And so it's difficult. Again, the documentation isn't very good. If you find out how to do that, let me know. I'm going to keep kind of poking around and trying things out. But that was more difficult than I was probably hoping for. And I'm not sure if it's a user error or just it's a unique way that they do it with Agent Builder in general. So you'll have to let me know. But yeah, all in all, this is really cool. It's super exciting. You can even get like the different kind of code. You can use it in ChatKit, which is a whole separate concept that I won't get into here because I do want to keep this one kind of short. But then you can even pull out the Python code and use it, your own, or kind of see how it's working under the hood. I'm not sure why this isn't working here, but again, it's a little bit buggy right now. It's brand new. We'll give them a pass. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So yeah, so let me know what you think. I'm super excited to hear what people are working on with it, and if you've already built some cool stuff with it, let me know. It's really cool to get this into the hands of more people. I'm really excited about Agent Builder. Again, not because it introduces anything new, but just because it is going to be part of everyone's ChatGPT kind of license and feature set. So really cool. And the fact that you can deploy with a couple button pushes is super, super exciting. So with that, I'll end that video here. But as always, let me know what you think. And yeah, let me know what you're building. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Take care.